But today I wanted to go through and break down the new top 10 best weapons in class setups, specifically for Black Ops 6 multiplayer gameplay. And first up here, we've got the CRIG. This thing feels fantastic in multiplayer. Low recoil, aggressive, versatile. It's checking all the right boxes, even with 5 attachments here. First things first. For an optic, I like the Kepler Microflex. If there's a different optic you prefer more, feel free to go ahead and run that. But this is sort of my go-to in a lot of situations. I also like the ported compensator here, just for some better control. Makes this thing, laser accurate. I stack that on top of the vertical foregrip, which helps out with some horizontal control. It becomes even more laser accurate. And I also have recoil springs on here too. Now you don't have to go all in on control if you want a gun that's basically never going to deviate, never going to move. This is that setup, like it is going to be laser beam-like, and I found myself to fry with it. But if you wanted to swap out one of those maybe for a barrel for some better range or better velocity, or a rear grip for more, aggressive gameplay with slide to fire speeds, dive to fire speeds, adds that's viable as well. Lastly, I do run the balance stock on here for a bunch of movement benefits. Strafe, general movement adds, strafe. Just making it more aggressive. So this thing's got good range already to begin with. It's got great control now, and it packs a punch. So like I am loving the CRIG here in multiplayer. Following that, I've got the XM4, another fantastic rifle. Behaves a lot like the CRIG in terms of its versatility. Like it's an easy-to-use rifle. It's got a quick TTK over all ranges, and it's decently aggressive, especially with this setup on here as well for what it's worth. So again, not huge on the iron sights here. I like the Kepler Microflex. I bounce back and forth between this, the Merlin Mini's not that bad. There's even some good 2 to 3 times scopes if you want those, if you're playing some of maybe the larger maps out there, but it's really just preference at the end of the day for the optics there, of course. Ported compensator here as well for the better recoil control outright. I really like Ranger foregrip here because this weapon is so easy to use. You get some benefits for speed and control at once out of this, which is pretty convenient. So you become more aggressive and you're more accurate all in one. That's a win-win. Balance stock here as well. You'll see this spammed on a lot of weapons here in multiplayer. Then I go for recoil springs once more just for some free recoil control. Why not if you want a laser accurate build? You could also swap out balance stock for the buffer weight, which goes crazy in multiplayer. I don't find it to be nearly as necessary just with a lot of the ranged engagements you're getting into. I like the aggressive build a little bit more personally. Now we gotta talk. One of the brand new weapons here with Season 1 Reloaded, that is the Maelstrom shotgun. Obviously, whenever there is a new gun out, I'm always covering these, giving you guys the best set for them in whatever my most recent top 10 video is. And that, of course, is this one. Surprise, surprise. This thing's actually pretty solid in multiplayer. It's aggressive because it's full auto, so it's pretty forgiving. It doesn't have like the fastest ADS or sprint to fire, so that's kind of like the only one main drawback of it. But outside of that, it honestly feels pretty good in my opinion. Consistent like 2 to 4 shot kill depending on your range, and you can definitely spam with this thing. So I like an ADS build. Personally, I just find it to be more reliable when I am adsing, so I go for the modified choke here, just going to help out that ADS spread. Long barrel for a better damage range. Extended mag 1 is 12 rounds. Extended mag 2 if you want to level it up, more is 14. If you value that huge difference of 2 extra shots, go for it. It's not going to be the biggest deal there in my opinion. Ergonomic rear grip for the better slide to fire speed. That's really important for my gameplay. Then a better ADS speed as well. Then I go again for the balance stock. You could maybe try out something like rapid fire, even throw on Dragon's Breath if you wanted to. If you wanted to be a little bit toxic, you'd have to swap that out for the long barrel, but a viable build nonetheless. But yeah, this thing is honestly pretty reliable as a shotgun. Not too bad whatsoever, by the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and setups here today. If you enjoy the video, if you find it helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you are in the know. For news updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns, everything going on in COD, this is your one-stop shop. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those, post notifications, and join us on the road to 1 million subscribers. Another fantastic rifle, the AK-74. This thing packs a punch. It's one of the heaviest hitters in Black Ops 6 multiplayer. I mean, it just fries a little bit more recoil than a lot of the other options in the game, but it's not awful. Like, you can absolutely manage it. The more you use it, the more you get familiar with it. Of course, as well, you learn this recoil pattern. You're set. You're gonna melt through everyone really at any range, right? Again, I'm going for the Kepler Microflex. What a surprise. I know. I also go for the vertical foregrip here just for max horizontal recoil control, making the weapon a lot more predictable. Extended mag 1 in this case. I just feel like that 40-round mag here is really necessary on a weapon like this, where you might not land as many shots as with other easier-to-use rifles. So the safety net here is actually pretty valuable in my opinion. Ergonomic rear grip, just for some better mobility, so I'm still staying aggressive with how fast BO6 Meta plays, and then recoil springs yet again for some better control. If you wanted to go even more in on control, you could swap out ergonomic for a compensator. You could also swap that out for, range or velocity or both if you wanted to if you're focusing more on a range-based build. But the AK-74 feels phenomenal as well. Next up, shifting away from some rifles, we got some subs that are fantastic in multiplayer right now, the KSV being one of them. one of the best SMGs up close, but it also has really good range at the same time as well. So really like the versatility that this brings to the table here. I'm not a huge fan of the irons though, which is unfortunate. I'd like to use an attachment elsewhere. But Kepler Micro Flex, I find myself to be way more accurate with this gun when I've got this equipped. I also go for the long barrel. Like I mentioned, it has the best TTK up close in its first damage range, so might as well extend that out even further where you can. Right. Weapon's decently easy to use, but Ranger foregrip just makes it even more so. Plus, you get some good mobility out of that as well. Ergonomic rear grip for the better adds, on top of the slide and dive to fire increases there. So just even more aggressive. Then of course the balanced stock for strafe adds. Strafe movement, hip fire, movement speed. Just more aggressive, all things considered there. So you're fast, you're agile, it's easy to use, and it's going to kill quick. It's checking all the right boxes. The compact is also a fantastic close range option. This one's got a little bit more emphasis on the ultra close range. It's, damage drop-off is a little bit more severe than some other subs, but up close, it will absolutely melt. Right. So here we're going for the compensator. Even though we are focused on the close range, any control that we can get out of this is definitely going to be helpful here. Its fast fire rate definitely makes the recoil very noticeable. So this will just make it a lot easier to stay on target consistently. Range of foregrip will do that as well. Plus you get the movement benefits there because the fire rate's so fast. I actually do use extended mag 1 in this case. 40 rounds is going to work fine for a lot of multiplayer scenarios. Ergonomic rear grip, better adds, slide to fire and dive to fire on there. And then again, the balanced stock for all the movement benefits it offers. I love the feel of this thing. I wish it had a little bit better range. But for a run and gun playstyle, this is one of the go-to choices. The SOG is also really reliable as an SMG. It has really good range too. Like it actually stands above several other subs. Once you get out to that 10, 15, 20 meter range there, that sort of mid-range area, this thing's TTK actually ends up being a decent bit faster than several other choices, and it's really good in the close range too. So this is a very versatile SMG here. I go for the ported compensator. I just like the feel of this over the base compensator. For some reason, just when I played, I felt like I was doing better with this, so I stuck with it, and it works well for me. Reinforced barrel, you get some velocity, some range. Obviously, if you're fighting in that mid-range a little bit, the velocity boost is going to be pretty convenient. There. Ranger foregrip yet again for the better control and movement speeds there. Ergonomic rear grip for the better movement speeds as well. And to no one's surprise, the balanced stock once more. Basically, I'm just going all in on movement. It's more aggressive and snappy here because its TTK as is fantastic, and we can extend that out even more. So it's again, also checking all the right boxes. Extreme versatility and extreme efficiency in all the places you want to fight with it. The Jackal is of course a, go to still. It's been like this since the beta as a top SMG-M. It's no longer as overpowered as it once was, but it's still a great choice. Quick TTK up close, decent damage range as well. Gonna be a pretty standard setup here too. I go for the compensator of course. No real need to run anything else here unless you wanted to try ported and see if you're more accurate like I was over on the SOG. I like the long barrel here, extending out that damage range even more, but reinforced is also always a good choice if you wanted to flip over to that. Never really a wrong answer there. Ranger foregrip per usual. I also go for ergonomic grip again. In this case, we go through, you can see we've got a 165 adds, a 110 sprintifier that'll be really solid, all things considered. Then the balanced stock yet again here too for all the movement benefits like before, kind of a copy and paste SMG loadout. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, it fries. I also love the feel of the C9 here in multiplayer. It's got clean irons, which is a big benefit for me. Like if a weapon has clean irons and I can use those and save an attachment. That's a huge win in my book. It's got good damage, quick TTK up close especially, and it's mad aggressive at the same time. It's one of my favorite feeling SMGs here in multiplayer. A bit of a different setup, although we're still using some of the same standard attachments, I do go for reinforced here. So some range, some velocities, adding some nice versatility to it. Ranger foregrip, same deal as always with that. Same deal as always with the ergonomic grip. With that on there, we do end up with a 175, 80s, a 130 sprint to fire, a 160 slide to fire. Balanced stock, increasing our movement speed across the board there. Then I like the feel of recoil springs on here too. Getting some horizontal and some vertical control there. Just adding in a level of consistency with the recoil pattern there. That'll make the weapon very, very easy to use so you can melt with it. And then lastly, I go for the XMG LMG, and I actually use Gunfighter on this setup, so I can get 8 attachments on this thing. It's going to be heavy and slow, so if you can speed it up and make it more aggressive, it's going to be a lot better here in multiplayer, just as a general meta contender, because it's got the damage, it's got the range to absolutely melt. You just need to be decently aggressive at the same time, and I think this setup does a good job at that. So whatever optic you want to run, go for it. I like the Kepler, of course. As we've very easily seen throughout this video, compensator keeps it accurate, keeps it easy to use. Reinforced barrel, best of both worlds. Some damage range, some velocity. Never a bad choice there. Ranger foregrip, more control, but also some speed there, so it's a little bit more aggressive. Fast Mag 1 will also speed it up, plus you get a quicker reload out of that as well. So more aggressive, and it's a win on the reload speed. Ergonomic rear grip helps out with the speed, helps out with the adds. Obviously huge on an LMG as well, helps with the overall aggressiveness. Balanced stock does more of the same there, and then we again get some easier recoil out of the recoil spring, so it ends up being a lot faster. Kind of just feels like if the XM4 was a little bit heavier, since obviously it's kind of the same platform there, but as an LMG it's one of my favorites in the game and really is a long-range option. It's one of my favorites in the game as well. But that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed it or if you found it helpful, a like would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out, so you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.